Welcome to another cloudy day, but I just had to have a walk. These health topics are really on my mind. And I don't know if you've been hearing, but the Florida Department of Health has been doing testing of our food because I think so many of us have become aware that there's chemicals and things in our food. And in the U.S., there's all these chemicals and things that are not allowed in other countries. You know, they're really trying to work on that. And so Florida decided they were going to test things. And oh my gosh, it was horrible, some of the things. So I printed this out because I wanted to tell you. I mean, it was like shocking to me. Okay, I've had trouble with eating candy. And it kind of goes in jags. And sometimes my kids will give me candy for Christmas. And then I would sit there and eat it. And it is so addicted to me. It's like if I have a box of lemon heads, I just can't eat a few. I end up eating the whole box. And then I gain weight. I feel terrible. But then if I get rid of it, then the weight starts to come off again. Well, so they tested this candy. And they found out there's a lot of arsenic in it. The arsenic levels 26 to 28 in 46 popular brands. Affected products are often marketed to children, or I would say people like me, include Jolly Rancher, Swedish Fish. I've been eating Swedish Fish forever. Sweet Tarts, Twizzlers, Sour Patch Kids, Tootsie Rolls, Snickers, Skittles, Nerds. Oh, yeah. And it said that more than 96 Nerds, and I don't know if that means a little package, it just might even be 96 of those little things, or 8 Swedish Fish in a year could exceed safe cumulative threshold. Only 8. 8 Swedish Fish. That's less than a box. And it can exceed your arsenic levels for a year. Oh, that has given me kind of like a comeuppance, and it's really made me go, okay, I now think I have enough motivation to stop eating that candy, which will be really good for me. I mean, shouldn't be doing that. Shouldn't be doing that, but I just couldn't get myself to stop. I think I can stop now. I'll look at stuff and I'm like, okay, do I really want to be eating that? But there's more. I got this stapled together. But there's also high arsenic levels common in rice, seafood, and certain fruit juices. And I went, rice? So I Googled that and asked about the rice thing. You know, we eat rice. Everybody eats rice, pretty much. And it said, well, no, rice is 100% free of arsenic. You can significantly reduce exposure by choosing California-grown rice, Indian, Pakistani balsamic, or Thai jasmine rice. White rice generally has less arsenic than brown rice. That's because the brown rice still has that outside on it. Said to further minimize risk, rinse rice thoroughly and cook it in excess water like pasta to remove up to 50% of the inorganic. But then I read some, and it's like, it's just kind of this balance, because if you cook it in too much water, then you're washing away the nutrients. But I think the best advice is don't eat too much rice all the time. You need to vary your diet and use different grains. It said diversify grains, reduce overhaul rice consumption and swapping with quinoa, millet, amaranth, I don't know what that is, buckwheat or oats. Oh, and I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And then the thing that really got me, Okay, I am forgetting the word. Immediately, I have forgotten the word. There's a word. Glyphosate? It looks like glyphosate, but it's basically the active ingredient in Roundup. You know, weed killer. I remember when Roundup came along, and it was like this miracle cure, it'd kill any weeds at all. And everybody was using it. And then they changed the formula for what you can get at home. It just doesn't work as well. But growers use something else. Oh, let's go up this hill. Oh, I don't want to go very far up the hill. But look, we can see the pond. Yeah, I don't want to go very far up the hill because of my foot. Let's not do that. Anyway, so what happened in 1986. 1986 was when there was a sudden rise of celiac and gluten intolerance. But what happened that year was that besides just using it for weed killing, they discovered that if you spray the wheat right at the very end, right when they're ready to harvest, it dries the wheat out, and then it's less likely to get mold in it, like when it's in the silos. All these farmers started to doing that. They didn't know, but so they sprayed it on there, and a lot of them are still doing that, spraying it on there. So when you eat breads that has made with flour within it, you're getting Roundup in your system, and it's not good for you. And so there was this big jump in those illnesses, and we're just hearing about it now. And so what they're doing is they're going to try to work toward making it possible for farmers to not have to use it, but it's something's going to take a while. But Florida did find some brands that don't have it in it. So I think if you go to Florida's health website, you can find those brands. But what it's motivated me to do is to make bread. There are different brands of flour that were grown and didn't use the Roundup. So I was looking that up, and you can find that information on Google. But I found out that the brand of flour we use when we bake doesn't have it, and that is the organic unbleached flour from Costco. We go to Costco a lot, and I make a lot of sourdough, and I do a lot of baking. And so we buy like the 50-pound bags, 25-pound bags, because we can keep 50 pounds of flour in one of the galvanized garbage cans. I showed about that one time. If you keep flour in galvanized garbage cans, you won't get bugs in it. And you can put the flour directly in the galvanized garbage can, which I have done, but now Gary he has a garbage bag in the can, and then he puts the flour in another garbage can, which he always twists down until, it's the level of the flour. But we've never had bugs in it because of that. I learned to do that from my mother. And she's the one who taught me. She said that she always had trouble with bugs getting in her flour till she learned that. There's something about the galvanization of the cans. Our cans are years and years old. But I've begun to do more and more baking, because when you bake, you know what is in your food. And now when I look at the baked goods at the store and I see all those other chemicals and things, I'm just kind of creeped out by it. So I've been making a sourdough. The thing about sourdough, it has a fermentation in it, and you can't eat as much. It's like I can only eat one piece of that a day, for sure. If I make cookies, I have a really, really good chocolate chip cookie recipe that, like, when I've taken it to family parties, they're just like, oh, these are the best cookies ever. But you can't overeat them. It's like 2 is enough, and then you're through. Where other cookie recipes, or if you buy them at the store, it's so easy to just sit there and go and eat them and eat them and eat them. But that's because the food companies have actually engineered those to make it so that you want to eat too much. And they've done that with chips and all kinds of things. And you know, when I was a kid, or when I was a young mother, and I was cooking all the time, and we were eating really good food, treats, because I didn't buy them at the store. If we wanted cookies, I made them. Wanted a cake, I'd make it. We very rarely had ice cream, almost never got chips or anything. I couldn't afford it, the budget, too much. So I was making all of our food. We were really healthy. And then what happened is, after I graduated from college and I got my first teaching job, and so we had a little bit more money and I was more busy, we started to buy some of these processed food and easy to make foods. And it was that point. And going to fast foods, because we almost never ever went to fast food before that. We couldn't afford to. But it was at that point Gary and I started to have problems with our weight. So here comes somebody. He didn't want to say hi. That's okay. Anyway, but now what we know, it was about that time, you see, when all of this stuff started to happen. And then it was at that time we started to take of it, and it's really addictive. It's like the chips. From what I understand, they're engineered. Do you remember there was a commercial by Lay's potato chips? I don't know how long ago, but it was like, you can't eat one. You just can't eat one. Well, no, you can't. They're engineered to make sure you don't. Good morning. Good morning. But if you make chips at home, which I used to, if we wanted some potato chips, I make them at home, or French fries, then you know what's in them. You don't overeat, and of course they're so much better. So I became highly interested in this because I've had so much trouble with my eating that I skip meals all the time. I now have some charts in my little planner. I've been developing a little planner just in a notebook so I can track stuff, and it's really helping me what I'm doing. I've been tracking, am I actually drinking extra water? Am I eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And I don't. Too often I skip food, and I've gone too long in my morning before I eat breakfast. And yeah, I just get all messed up. So I'm working on that, working toward eating at the right time. When I was working the job, that's one thing. I ate 3 meals a day at the right time of day. Because I'd get up and Gary'd make me breakfast. Then I'd come home at lunch because I could. And we'd sit and eat lunch together. And then when I came home from work, he had dinner ready. So I was eating 3 meals a day. And that's one thing that has really messed me up since I had to go into retirement. And the longer time has gone on, the worse it has become that I'm not eating regularly. And of course that's not well and not good for you. And then I got into a string of almost eating sugars all the time. Oh, right before Christmas, I had gone to Trader Joe's and I was hungry, and I ended up with all these bags of their cookies and treats. And what I started doing is that I wouldn't eat very much breakfast, and if I ate breakfast, it might be a cold sugary cereal, and then in the afternoon I'd crash and I'd end up eating those cookies and stuff. And I started to get really overwhelmed anytime I went in the kitchen. Like, I couldn't even figure out what food to eat. I have found that if I actually start to feel overwhelmed in the kitchen, I'll say a prayer. And that helps. I'll get you over like this. I'll get you over like this so you don't have to be on it. So there were more people here than there were the other day. Yes, everybody is wanting to take a walk in between. So here we are. Oh, look, we've got the ducks going on the pond over here. So let's turn around. But they're swimming. I wish I had some bread. I should always bring some bread when I come because they're so cute when you give them some bread. They swim so fast. Anyway, that's my plan. And I hope it was helpful. You get in this car. This is the rental car. Oh, it's so dark and cloudy. It's actually really pleasant down here. I've been doing research and have found some really easy recipes for bread that I'm going to try. There's one from King Arthur flour where it's just really simple what's in it. And then after you make it, you put it in the refrigerator. And it'll make like 4 loaves, but you don't have to make them all at once. You can just kind of pull out a piece and bake it. And then another day you can bake it. And so I want to try that and see if that's good. And I also want to try making some sandwich breads because I've been educating my husband about this. And we're kind of both of the mind of, yeah, we don't want to eat bread from the store, although there are some brands that don't have that Roundup stuff in it. So go to Florida's website because it has a list of them. So I think it's really good for us to know. And if consumers start really looking for that and kind of get noisy for it, and the companies can start to see, you know, people are really shopping and buying the ones that are good for them, they might start improving and working toward improving all of their stuff. And it's going to really make the government even more motivated than they are right now to find this stuff and disclose this stuff and get it shut down and help the farmers, because nobody wants to hurt the farmers. But help the farmers have other methods of taking care of this stuff so that our health's not in danger. But meanwhile, there are things that we can do. And I'm working to do that. Because I know when I eat lousy, I feel lousy. And I know that if I make my homemade sourdough bread and eat that, I feel 1,000,000 times better than when I eat the cheap white bread. Wonder Bread is on the naughty list. Yeah, that's where I am. If you know more about this, I'd love to hear it, or what your thoughts are about this in the comments. I just love to hear from you in general. And so I'll see you next time. Bye.